So let's go to our workflow and then pipeline. And then I'm going to go to this pipeline here. How do I test a pipeline? We already have it all set up, right? We have all these conditions. We have, all of these tasks that need to be completed. How do I test that out? So adding a job. A lot of clients, believe it or not, after they take all of these trainings and they know, how to set the pipeline up, they're like, now I don't know what to do. I forgot what is a job, right? And I can completely understand that because there's just so much to learn that you just, stumble upon what the heck. How do I start now? Like, how do I get started with my clients, right? Well, first of all, if you're in this view, you can click on Add Job and then select the account. You can select multiple accounts and you can search for them as well, right? But in this case, let's go ahead and select Fab LLC, just for example's sake, even though this is an individual tax return, right? So let me cancel this out, and I'm going to delete this job because we're just testing. Remember, you can click on this corner button and you'll have this top menu. I never suggest to delete, but because this is just a test, I will delete. I always suggest to archive instead, okay? Even if you didn't complete the job for a client, do an archive so you can keep a record. In this case, it's just a test. This is the only time where I'm actually going to delete. All right. So we have the job that we create. This is how we get started. Before this, though, when you are testing, you want to open up another page, whether it's another browser or an incognito window or a private window, and you want to log in to that test account. Okay, that way you know exactly what you're getting into. So what does that mean? I'm going to be able to see the client facing status, right? I'm going to be able to see what I need to sign or what I need to complete. So that's the first thing that I can suggest. Open up another window, or even on your phone, log into that test account on your phone like if you were that client. So I'm going to select this account. And remember, job templates are our best friend. It automatically fills out the form for us, right? So we already talked about that in previous webinars. And job templates, I'm sure you've utilized them as well in your work. Is that correct, Leonard?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it just makes things so much easier because I mean, I don't need to worry about anything other than who does this need to be assigned to, right? Maybe I don't even need to worry about this because I already have role-based assignment. So maybe I can leave this blank, right? And just depend on the role assignment. So I'm going to create this job, and it's asking me, do you want all of these things to happen? Because these are actions that you generated. And yes, I do, right? I already know that they either have a new client tag or a returning client tag. So I'm going to hit move. All right. So I have the first things here that have been issued. Let's see here. I'm going to close this out just so I can filter, and then I'm just going to filter my account. Because when you're testing, you want to make sure that you only see that account and only that account, right? So the client facing status is here. That's the first thing that you want to test out. So just because I'm not logged in now, I want to show you that when you open the account, even if you don't necessarily have the testing open, if you click on info, you'll be able to log in as read only. And Leonard, have you utilized this before, the
Yes, I
login?
have.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. So when you do that, you can see the jobs that are active. Obviously, I have many jobs for this particular account, and you can see them up here. Each status is a different job, right? So this is what your client can see. I know this is for a tax return, and this is for 2023. I'm still not done with 2023, and this is for something else that I'm working on, right? So all of these things your client will be able to see, and this is the status. Hey, we're starting soon. That's what I set up. That's how I know that everything's good to go, that this testing is actually functional, right? So that's it. We have this pending engagement letter that needs to be signed. And if you look at the proposal section, this was sent today, right? And this needs to be signed so that the client needs to log in here and sign this. So once they sign it, this is going to say complete. And this little triangle says that the auto move is going to happen. So that's how we know that it's functional, because once they sign, the auto move will happen automatically, right? So essentially the testing here is you going into the account and fulfilling that. Like, for example, right now, I need to make sure that that is actually signed. And let me actually do it on my end here. I'm going to do it on the phone app just because I already have this signed in. And I want to show you that this is what you want to do when you are testing. And when you were testing out your account, were you doing that same thing, Leonard? Were you logging in as if you were a client?
Yeah, I just made a test account basically and ran all of my processes through it, opened up an incognito window, logged in as that test account, did the signing, did the answering of questions, just to make sure that it all worked. Especially after I mistakenly did the questionnaire part wrong.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I didn't test that part out. Why would I think to do that? But
no, I think that's the best way to do it. And whoops, I keep signing in to my real account instead of my client's account. Let me try one more time. All right, so I am logged in, and I'm going to share that window just so you see it. I am logged in here, and this was the one that was just sent over to me. This is how it's going to look like on the client's end, right? So I have to scroll all the way down. I know this verbiage is really long. Remember, you can copy and paste your own verbiage or use the one that TaxDome has. Either way is fine. And in this case, I'm going to sign. All right, perfect. So going back to this portal, there was something that was completed, which was the organizer, right? And oops, I need to log in again. And the reason why I did that is because I was still under the view only, the view of the client. So I'm just going to go back to workflow and look at this pipeline. Notice that the filter is still here, okay? So I'm still filtering only this. So if I open this up, here it is signed. Now in this particular case, I am actually invoicing the client, right? So once the invoice is paid, then it will move to the next stage. So the invoice in this case, I'm going to open it here, And yeah, this invoice needs to get paid. And I'm going to do an offline payment because the offline payment means that they probably paid me in cash, which they actually did. So I'm going to hit save just so I could demo you what this looks like. So now that they actually paid their deposit and they signed the proposal or engagement letter, however you want to call it, it automatically moved to the next stage. So this is how sequentially you're going to do the testing. You're going to see what's the next thing here. Well, there's an organizer that was sent apparently, and that organizer should now be in the client view. So you go back into here, you look into the organizer. This was just sent today, right? And you open that up, and remember, I only had 2 questions, so I'm just going to write whatever on here just to submit. All right. So now that I submitted, I'm going to come back into TaxDome, and I'm just going to have it refresh on its own. And it moved automatically because what was pending here? Here was a proposal and a deposit that was paid. It automatically moved to an organizer. The organizer says, send the short version to my returning clients, send the long version to new clients. I'm a returning client, so that's why I got the short version. Now we're in prep. And we open up again the job to see the task. Who was it assigned to? Catherine was assigned. That's exactly who this needs to go to because she is a preparer, right, for this account. So once she's done with her task, we're going to hit save and exit. And it actually skipped these and moved to the preparation section. Why? Because these are stages that have very specific tags. So if we're not missing anything or need an extension, these will be skipped, right? So this means that when you're on this stage here, you actually need to say, well, if they are really missing something, we have to tag the account missing and complete the task, right? So now we can complete the task. And it should move to the missing info, right? So this is the way that you would do it in case you are using these stages. Otherwise, if you are sitting here, you can use this missing information status and have it be sitting here as long as it needs to be sitting here. And then once they give you the information that you need, like maybe I need to send a client request, right? If I send a client request, this is where I will send it and, need that doc. And it's nice to kind of, I know we've reviewed this, but looking at it a couple of times will kind of help you understand how this is going to be utilized. In the US, a W-2 is, a standard document that you might be missing, right? So I'm going to hit send. And there we go. We have this client request that we're just going to sit here and wait for the client. Once the client submits, it's going to turn into active, and then we can keep going, right? We can keep going in each stage. So my suggestion again is make sure that whoever is assigned to the tasks, and let's go to manager review, is the person that needs to be assigned. So I'm moving it here manually, and some of these tasks here say that they belong to this person. If I know that's correct, we can keep it that way. And this, for example, doesn't have an assignee, so I know that this in the future needs to have somebody that needs to be assigned to it. So how do you figure out if something's not working how it should? Why is it not moving forward, right? Well, you always take a look at your tasks and things that are pending. Right now, this is keeping the pipeline from moving to the next stage. We need this information from the client. Once this information is received, then Taxon will keep pushing it to the next stage. And this is, again, the testing that you're going to do. You're going to make sure that everything, like for example, this wasn't assigned to anybody and it should be, right? So how do I correct that? I actually should be opening up a new tab. And I need to go into my templates and my task templates. And this task that doesn't have anybody assigned to it, it's called 1040 tax prep post. And let me look at that. I can search for it here. It's probably this one here. Yeah. So if I open this up, that's why I don't have anybody assigned to it, because if I didn't have any role-based or any team members assigned. So in this case, I'm going to add my preparer is the person that needs to do this. And that's how I fix that issue. Now moving forward, when we hit the stage, this particular task will now be officially assigned to whoever it belongs to. I think it's Catherine in this case. And again, these assignees, you want to have somebody assigned, because if you don't, no, it's just going to be a task up in the air flying around, right? And you don't want that, because that's when your team members are going to be like, well, I thought that was done. I didn't get a notification for it. So in this case, if you want to remove a certain task that you no longer need, you can remove it on the fly, and you can reissue tasks to team members, because maybe somebody's out sick and you need to reassign it. Is that something that could potentially happen with you, Leonard? That somebody's out sick? Or
Probably not at this point, because it's only me doing this work. But
oh, gotcha. But eventually,
yes,
that could
eventually
potentially
somebody
be
will
something,
able
to do. So, like I mentioned, this testing is really critical for you to do. It's just about going from stage to stage and making sure that things are functional, right? And you always want to come back to this view of, um, the client view. Let me see, hopefully you can see that. This is my, I'm the client here. And I want to make sure, that, I have paid whatever I need to pay. Obviously, you'll never have a client that has credits of $40,000, but I owe $3,000 on here, right? And your client might owe $150, whatever it may be. They will be able to see this here. They will be able to see all of the tasks that they need to complete, organizers, invoices that they need to pay. So by doing the testing, you should be seeing the statuses change. You should be seeing, the right organizers being issued. You probably see a little bit of clutter with me, because I've sent many, many things over and over. And using a test account, feel free to send yourself a million things. That's the best part of having a test account. You can play back and forth with things that, like Leonard figured out that, by doing all of this testing, that some of the fields needed to be a text versus a number. Or maybe you don't feel right about sending your client a message because you're already sending them a client-facing status. This is where you can figure out if you're bombarding your client or not, right? All right, so I'm going to conclude with that, and I'm going to go back to some final questions, and then we are ready to end the session. All right, so let's go to our final questions here, and then we'll do our recap. So what percentage of clients